All right, so we are going to start assignment 5. It is our first illustration assignment. Illustration is work, usually image-based work, right, that is made to be reproduced. So digital art is the perfect tool. Digital imaging and media is the perfect tool for illustration. Illustration means to bring light to something. So illustrations are always kind of commenting on something else, whether it's a book illustration, a magazine illustration, a music cover illustration, or even just a sticker, right? They're often commenting on a certain point of view on something that already exists. They're bringing light to it, whether it's a version of cosmic horror of H.P. Lovecraft and Cthulhu, or whether it's a version of the werewolf mythology, or whether it's your own kind of character design with its own backstory that you want to create an illustration for. These illustrations need to be free-floating, which we call spot illustrations, which means they are not cropped on any side and they have no background. Think of them as sticker designs or tattoo designs or what you would like to see, bless you, on a t-shirt, right? No one wants a t-shirt that looks like it was ironed on from an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and is cut off arbitrarily at the edges. It has to be a considered shape from all sides, right? We start with a rough sketch. We're going to learn how to do clean line art through something called digital inking, preferably as a vector. And then we're going to do raster coloring behind that line art. Sometimes in the raster coloring, the line art will change color as well. That's what's called a color hold. So we're going to be learning a lot of vocabulary, a lot of processes that are professional for digital coloring, because that's how most of our visual imagery and graphics are made today. But what you'll notice, how this is different than digital painting, which we'll be learning later, is that everything has to be contained within lines first. Whether the lines are really thin and technical, whether they're thick and gestural, whether they're psychedelic, always lines first, even if those lines are broken up. All right. So, how do you make an image with lines first? Well, you can think of it like inking. So these are inking examples, ways you can give the illusion of form in 2 dimensions through line art. You can have really clean kind of graphic lines. This is perfect for vectorization, but it doesn't need to be perfect for vectorization. It's still going to capture your personality. You can do stippling, lots of tiny dots. You can do gestural, lots of kind of broken spaces. You can do thick hatching. Now, the theme for this semester is monsters, but not just any kind of monsters. I want some sort of art movement with your monster. So what I'm calling modernist monsters. And I have here just kind of a list of Google modernist art movements. Some of them are after modernism, but that's allowed. So you have everything from post-impressionism to suprematism, futurism, cubism, expressionism, pop art, art nouveau. And then here are a bunch of kind of standard monsters, right? These are in the Western tradition mostly, but you have dragons, chimera, ogres, cyclops, basilisks, hydra, minotaur, mermaid, whatever kind of thing you want to do. Your job is to make something uniquely yours by taking, let's say, a mermaid and saying, I'm going to make a Fauvist mermaid. And then you might look for inspiration. So Fauvism was a French expressionist movement which had to do with really, really bold blocks of color. Henri Matisse is probably the most famous Fauvist. So what would a Fauvist mermaid kind of look like? Well, this, which you can buy at Walmart, is kind of an example of what a Fauvist mermaid would look. But this is not a spot illustration, right? But this could inspire kind of your color choices, your shape choices. And it's a good opportunity to kind of look at art history and find new inspiration. So, what is the first thing we're going to do for this assignment? You are, even before you post your sketch or along with your sketch, I want you to post what your art movement is and what your monster is. So I'm doing a feathered serpent, and I'm doing it in an Art Deco style. Okay, so I'll show you what Art Deco is. Art Deco is very much based on geometry, repeated patterns, kind of intricate designs. And these can all be some of my inspirations. It goes in a lot of different directions. It's often confused with Art Nouveau, which is what this is. And it's often used in architecture and in furniture. But this is an example of Art Deco. So is this. So you see all the kind of geometric patterns, all the complexity of the designs, right? These might be good inspirations for me. So I might save these to my downloads. Even before I sketch. If you don't have a sketch already, some of you already do, which is fantastic. That maximizes our use of time in class today for our digital inking. All right, so now I've got some inspirations. What's fun about modernism is it's all pre-computer, right? Though you can see how it definitely inspires digital illustration today. Like this early Vanity Fair cover in an Art Nouveau style. You can see that being used today, but it would be more often than not illustrated digitally because it's made to be reproduced. Right? Okay, so what do I put under the assignment? I'm going to put an Art Deco. First list the art movement or the art style, and you can go before the 20th century too. So I'm going to call this your theme. This is just going to help me help you and help you find reference and make decisions, right? And then what's the monster I'm doing? I'm doing a feathered serpent, kind of a stylized kind of serpent god. Right? That's what the crown and the wing is about. All right. Now I have other examples kind of up here. You can find inspiration from anywhere. But I'm going to post some of those Art Deco inspirations as well. Now, inspiration is not something you'll get graded on, but it is something that acknowledges the deadline. So if you've had trouble missing deadlines, definitely put something up sooner rather than later. So let's get some of these Art Deco inspirations in there. And the more we make personal work, the more inspiration is going to really serve us well. So I want you to get used to looking for it. And it's funny, this one's all purples, this Vanity Fair cover, and then Gustav Klimt's is all yellows and golds. And maybe I'll make use of those color schemes in my spot illustration. Now notice, none of these Art Deco paintings or prints are spot illustrations, right? They're all filling a rectangle. But my spot illustration needs to be free floating. So when I design it, I need to draw it where I'm thinking of every edge. I want to draw it kind of small on the page so I have space to either expand around it, not get cut off at the edge, not try to fit too many sketches onto one page so I don't have room to fully explore its shape. And then once you've done your sketch, you can always bring it into Photoshop or Photopea and play with stretching it, warping it, making it a slightly better shape. But this is the sketch that I've settled on. So that's the first requirement, a rough sketch or a loose sketch. This next part of the assignment is to turn your sketch into clean line art. So you can see it there, you can see it there, you can see it there. We always have to start with lines. And sometimes this is a past student example. Sometimes those lines are really clean and gestural. Sometimes those lines can be incredibly open and broken. But as long as it's clean line art, we can make it work. Right? That's what these examples are about. So if you're trying to match Impressionism with line art, how do you sketch it? Impressionism is all about kind of dappled light and movement. But if you look at Impressionism sketches, you can look at particular artists, but you'll see how they indicate things with lines. So this is Edward Degas, you have Monet, and you'll see a lot of the time their line art is really, really evocative. If you get to post-impressionists like Van Gogh or expressionists, you'll kind of see the open nature of the lines, which can make for more complicated coloring, but it's a worthwhile thing to learn about, to kind of capture that energy. Futurism is all about movement. So if I look for a futurist line art, futurist sketches, remember all these painters and sculptors would sketch their work first. So this is what a futurist sketch looks like, which is pretty wild. And there's actually a figure here in multiple poses, kind of reaching different ways, bending down. So line art is what we start with. And I can help you with your sketches, with your ideas. All right, now we move on to the next part. Once you've posted your line art, and you've posted, here we go, got a lot of things open. So we start with the rough sketch. Now we need to make the clean line art, or line work. And in an ideal world, we will make it a vector. So I am not going to teach you all the different ways you can get vector line art. I've done that in the past. You can look at it in past semester videos. I'm going to just try to get you all to do it in the way I consider the best way, to do it digitally. So I'm going to, let's see, how can I do this? Never done this before, but I'm going to try to record an in-class example where I demo it to you. Okay, just to show these different ways. So say hi, everybody. So these are my sketches. Right? These are my loose sketches. This is for your future interest. And if you need to, you can do it this way, but I'm not going to demo it. So these are my sketches. These are for both my afternoon and morning classes, right? So the serpent, right? To ink by hand, you often use either tracing vellum or you use a light box. Light boxes are expensive. They can be several $100s. They're an art supply. I'm going to show you how you get a really simple one. This is a $5 clear container, right? All you need to turn this into a light box is your phone. So you turn on the flashlight on your phone. You put it, if you want it to be a pretty faint light box, you put it on the opaque lid, and you can see how that helps you trace it very easily. Right? Also very cheap, all very accessible. Turn it into a light bulb. Makes a big difference. If that light wasn't on, you wouldn't be able to see through it because these are just two pieces of copy paper. Okay, if you need it to be an even clearer light box, like it's a fake sketch or not a very clear sketch, you simply reverse it. Right? You use the clear side. So you try to find a box that doesn't have a lot of indents in it, and then it's even clearer. See that? obviously